Okay, for this next one, we're looking at, let's see, what solution are we up to now? The seventh solution to the apples and bananas. And here, I'm going to build upon the list comprehension that we wrote using this new char function that we defined. And something I failed to mention at the time is that the reason why we're defining new char here inside of main is because we're referencing vowel, which is defined right here. So this is actually creating what's called a closure because the function is closing over this vowel definition. If I were to define this new char outside of the main, I would need to pass in the vowel as a parameter. Here, because vowel is still in the same scope here, I can reference it. So it's a little trick there with understanding the scoping of the variables. So it makes sense to define this here inside of main because I'm creating a closure. I want to show you how we can call this instead of a list comprehension, we can use map. And if we go back to declaring our lambda here and we change this here. Let's see, do I have enough parentheses? Let's see. So the idea here is that arg's text is going to be listified. It is a string. Actually, we can just get rid of that there. We're not using it. And each character in args.text is going into the lambda. It's going to go in as the character C, and then we're going to call new char on C, and I believe that should work. Let's run our test suite. And indeed it does. I'd like to show you how what's really nice about this is that the way this is written, new char expects exactly one argument, and lambda, the map will happily handle that for us. We can actually just say, we can get rid of the lambda here, get rid of this, and we can just say pass each character to the idea of the function new char, pass that character in, and then get back the result, and that should work again. And it does. So that's an extremely clean way to write this map. I've been building up to this, and probably you thought the previous versions were just a little bit tortured. But once you start to really understand higher order functions and how map works, then you realize that you can write extremely clean code here. So again, I can leave out the lambda definition and just simply pass new char, the function, because the function has been written to accept exactly one variable, one value here. It comes in as C or char, and it's going to handle, it's going to run this code and it's going to return a new list that's going to come back, and we're joining those together. I'd like to show you just a little bit more. For instance, if I have, let's say, the text is going to be foobar, and I want to map that in, and I want to uppercase each character, I can actually use the string upper function, and I can pass in text. And okay, so what I get back here is a map object. This is an example of a lazy function. So in the REPL, and this always trips me up, I always forget this is a lazy function. I have to say list, and then it will return. So it returns each one of the characters has been mapped through the function string upper. Notice that there's no parentheses here. If I were to have parentheses, then I would be trying to call it, and at the moment that I'm writing it, and it's not getting a parameter, and so it doesn't quite, it's just not going to work. What we need to pass is the function itself, not calling the function. Map will call the function with the characters. So each one of these gets turned into F-O-O-B-A-R, the uppercase versions. So that's what's going on here. New char is a function that accepts one parameter. And so map will apply each one of these arguments as the parameter, as the argument to this function, and call it improperly. And so now that's a really pretty clean way to call and to write this. And here's how it looks here. I can actually, yes, just print joining that all together, because map is going to return a list, and then I want to join it back together as a string. So that is how to write a map using a defined function, and rather than using a lambda, which to me that looks pretty clean. Here I'm showing that each one of these, like for instance in apples, the string apples will get turned into the list of each individual character. Each character goes into new char, and it comes out as a new list where the uppercase A has been replaced with an uppercase I, the P's come out, the L, the I gets uppercase there. So that is how we can call that with a defined function.